This time every year, I want to make baseball content, but I'm like, will anybody watch it? Will anybody care? Will anybody care about my opinions? And it stops me from doing it. But now I'm at the point where I just want someone to talk baseball with, so that's what we're going to do here. And the one thing I want to talk about right now are why the Braves are bad. And I don't think they're going to be bad forever. I think you're going against, you had home runs robbed, and you've gone against the Padres and Dodgers, which the only team I felt as though gave the Dodgers a hard time in the playoffs last year was the Padres, if I'm remembering that correctly. If I'm not, please call me out. But I believe it was the Padres. That was the team that looked the best against the Dodgers. And that's part of the story. I can't blame the Braves for going against two really tough teams. They're not going to make it easy on anybody. But this offense has a lot to work on because of the fact that we're looking at it here and their weighted and expected averages are not good. Like your weighted on base average is 0.216. Like that's not good at all. I mean, look at our regular batting averages, but still, your weighted on base averages is horrendous. And then your expected batting average is a 0.185, which is bottom 1% of Major League Baseball. And I mean, they do a pretty decent job of drawing walks. As you can see, a lot of those came from Marcell Ozuna, and then some of those came from Matt Olson, and which surprisingly, those two guys have the highest on base percentages on the team. Everybody else, I don't know what they're doing. Austin Riley has 10 strikeouts. Marcell Ozuna, as much as he walks, he also has 7 strikeouts. Matt Olson, 5. Michael Harris has 8. Jared Kelenic has 7. Orlando Arcia has 5. He has 5 strikeouts and third. Look at the plate appearances to strikeout ratio. It's just not good. And when they are putting the bat on the ball, they do a pretty good job of it. I mean, their barrel percentage is like an 11.5%, which is good. Top 10% in an MLB. So it's not like that they're not getting like a good whack at it. It's just it's not really making the defense work. I know they had a couple of key plays like robbed by the deal. I think Tatis robbed him of a play, and then I think something happened with the Dodgers as well. I can't remember who, but still, it's not like they haven't had some things not go their way. But other than that, I mean, they're hitting it right to the defense. They're hitting it right to Mookie Betts. They're hitting it right to left field. Like it's just not good. And I think that if you want to be a team that can, be as good as what we're used to the Braves being, I think that you're going to have to change your approach at the plate, even when you are down. I think that's a big part of it, and that's something that maybe not a lot of people will talk about is the fact that they're down a lot. And a lot of that is because the pitching can only hold on for so long, especially against these two really good teams. They're down a lot. So when they're trying to go to the plate, they're trying to get it all back in one inning. We know that's how baseball goes. As much as it's treated as don't do it, don't do that. To one at bat at a time. It's hard to do that when you're down 4-0, 3-0. So they try to get it all back in one inning. We see that they've topped the ball way more than the average. They go under way more, not way more, a little more than an average, and they're not making a solid contact as the rest of the Major League Baseball is. So it's just strange. It's just strange that they just don't seem. I don't know. Maybe it's the West Coast. I don't know. But it definitely seems as though something is off. And even though it's not like you have the best lineup of players. Like I'm looking at Nick Allen just because his name is what I see. He hasn't even been a serviceable baseball player, yet in his career. Not to say that he'll never be one or anything like that, but it's just more so I'm telling like it is from the past. So having him be kind of like tonight when they lost 6-5 to the Dodgers, kind of having him be like one of the main guys right here. He had a quarter of the hits basically, because you take his hits and Albies hits, and then you'll have 4 of the 8. They generated 5 walks, which I think is good. Ozuna had 3 of them, which huge, as we saw. He's really good at generating those walks, but then other than that, he's not hitting the ball, which his batting average shows that. So it's just like they don't have anyone to really put the bat on the ball, and then they only have two guys really getting on base. I think Nick Allen, is for what it's worth is sufficing, but that's not who you want to rely on. I know that they're missing players, but still, at the end of the day, you're going to need to, at minimum, get on base. And whether that's like be Ozuna and just walk your way there, at least it gives something. But just striking out, they had the 8 strikeouts today. It's not, that's not the worst thing in the world, but when you look at just how they're striking out, I think that's where it gets ugly. And then when they do hit it, it's not going anywhere. But let me know your thoughts. I think that it's just a simple approach thing. I think once we start to see the Braves in games that are more manageable, I think that we'll see them, produce more, even though this isn't the Braves we're used to in terms of roster construction, but still Austin Riley's going to turn it around. Michael Harris is going to turn it around. But just saying it right now, those two guys show up into even half of what we know they could do, I think it looks a little different. I'm not saying I don't think they'll be a winning record team. And we're just talking the first 7 games. I don't think they'll be a winning record team, but they definitely wouldn't be winless. So I think they just really need those guys to step up. Then you can kind of look at it some more because you have 2 guys who are getting on base. It's not conventional. It's not, necessarily that won't bring home runs, which is something they need, but you need people on base to bring home runs. So when you only got 2 people who can really get on base, and then the rest is reliant on hitting, and we see that they're just not hitting well, then I think you kind of have a problem. But let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below, and I definitely look to do this again soon.